right. It's Friday somewhere. Let's drink.
Must be a lot of oats in here because this body is perfect. So,
basic Mexican lager. It's good. It's light. It's crisp.
Pretty much all base malt, London yeast.
Well, it's a beer. I'll give it that.
It's a
By
choice.
all, yeah.
I went with Hamm's, which is a classic American beer.
I mean, break up the word independent into more syllables. Why don't you?
He's a Yinzer, which is great. And most importantly, he's one of 16 Master Cicerones in the world. We do have a live audience here, and it's really great to do this. I personally can't believe you guys paid money to come out and listen to us talk. And with that, I'm going to hit stop. It's Friday somewhere. Let's drink.
Ooh, I get to do it too.
Oh, that's a nice snap.
That is pretty good.
Yeah. I'm going to take a sip. I am Bearcat, and I'm joined once again by my good friend, Mr. Ed Grohl. Edwin, how are you today?
Doing great. Welcome to the Living Room Studios.
Yeah, we're doing this one face-to-face, which we haven't done a face-to-face since the Nugget Nectar one in Midtown.
Was that Midtown Tavern?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, it's been a while. You know, what's funny is yesterday when I went to pick up the beers we're going to talk about in a bit here, I realized that it's probably the first time I'd been in a brewery since 2019,
Wow.
And then it dawned on me right before lockdown, or like the week of, kind of. I went to Trogs with a buddy of mine for a quick brunch.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, we're all screwed now. It was before like the super lockdown.
Yeah.
When so that was probably it. So we're talking months and months and months.
I mean, I think and I think you're right. I think I maybe made it to Trogs at least once or twice before the lockdown, and certainly Levante, which is a beer we're going to talk about. We'll talk about their beer a little bit later.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with their stuff, so I'm excited to give it a run.
Yeah, it's like, so my home court consists of pretty much like 3 different breweries. Trogs, which is just always home court. Levante, which is, I can throw a baseball from my office and hit the brewery practically.
And your office is in Westchester proper, right?
Correct, yeah. And I can, it's really close, so I buy their beers all the time. And then Columbia Kettle Works is kind of like my home. That's home base.
Yeah, that's right down near your neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
I've been there once. We were going to a wedding down in like Wellsboro, or not Wellsboro. What's the one that's on the water there? There's like a factory. Anyway, it was one of the places, and we were like 10
John
minutes
Wright?
away. Something like that.
Yeah.
And so we went to Columbia Kettle Works. I was taken aback by how nice it is.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I couldn't believe how cool it was.
Yeah. I like them because they brew a lot of classic styles. It's a lot of German stuff, so it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
there's
their stuff.
people who are good at that and stick with it. Like Victory kind of went out of their lane a little bit with some of their newer stuff, but their base, like German style, like it's just great. You know, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Victory, I hit up more regularly now because on my commute home. The Parksburg.
The one in between Parksburg there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how close that actually is to Downingtown.
It's not far.
Well, my buddy Jay and I drove, and God bless him.
It's like 40 minutes.
Well, not when you let Jay do directions. He took us over. He took us down to York and up 30. And if we were just at the turnpike, we could have made half the time by just going to Downingtown.
Yeah. Yeah. The Parksburg one is nice because you can always get a seat. And it pretty much has everything that
I like the self-guided tour that they have.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat where you just walk around with your beer and look at all the fun stuff.
It's pretty nice. The Downingtown one has horrific parking, is bigger than its parking lot allows.
100. It's always been that way too. Even before the construction, it was.
Yeah. They built there, and I don't think they ever really thought out the real long term.
It's like people who build highways. They're like, we'll never have more people than we have now. Like, now our
Two
traffic,
lanes.
it's just 6 hours to get anywhere.
Yeah. But the food is, I think, it's more diverse and you have a bigger menu at Downingtown. But Parksburg one's really nice.
Yeah, well, Victory too. The old. I don't know if you've ever been to the old. When you walked in the front door, it was just a bar and very limited seating.
No.
And then they just went full. We're a family brewery restaurant and opened up the whole. Now you walk into that left side of the building.
Yep.
And that's the bar. That was like not a place that you went. So you came in and the bar was right there. There was glass you could see in the brewery.
Yep.
And there were some like booths and a couple arcade machines. And then the gift shop was way back on the right.
Yeah. It's very much a family place now.
Overly so. And I had kind of some of that conversation yesterday with somebody at the beer release and talking about opening places that, how kid friendly do you want to go? And we were at Evergreen and they are extremely kid friendly.
Yes.
And, the discussion was, you're here and you see kids just running around and they've got, it's a warehouse and they have sound baffling, but they've got that goddamn giant wooden Connect 4. It's the loudest sound on earth.
The one problem that Evergreen has always had, in my opinion, is the acoustics. It's so loud, and they did put up some sound deadening stuff. To me, it made no difference.
No, none at all. It's very loud, and it's it's their bit more power to them, but it can get a little loud and rambunctious in there.
It's tinny in there.
Yeah, and that used to be Sun Motors, and like where you get beer there is where when I was a kid, my dad, I got a hand-me-down 81 diesel Mercedes, and I took it over there, and that's where they used to fix cars. So they're doing great. That place looks good.
I'm really curious to see where their beer will be 6 months from now. So Bruce left.
Bruce is gone. Yep. He's over at ABC.
Yeah, and my understanding is that ABC he has full artistic control, which I think is really important.
I've heard that story before. We'll see how it goes, but I think that was probably 10 years ago. So Artie's probably, I think, a little more hands-offish and has kind of maybe let them go. I think Cliff's over there, too, with him.
Cliff is there.
Yeah. So, I haven't been there in a long time, so I'd be curious. But I will say this, discussing Evergreen, I was talking with them yesterday, and they started changing some of the chemistry of their water and using a little bit different systems. So I was drinking almost exclusively the Juice Juicy yesterday because I just haven't had one in forever, and so I had 3. But it's a lot softer now. Their beers used to have a little bite on the back end to it, completely smoother, softer, a little more feathery. So you can really tell a difference, and they're doing a good job. And it's like they're dialed into where they can turn around. They're so efficient, and their system is so good now. They're turning beers around in like not BS pale ales or whatever. They're turning like good beers around in like 3 weeks. Like,
wow!
They turned the one that we're going to drink around in about 3 to 4 weeks, which for a 9% imperial stout is damn quick.
That is.
I think they might be adding some more equipment or updating something too.
They have the space. They could.
They have the space, and that place. It's no secret that place makes money hand over fist. And Larry and Norm were already, I would assume, I don't know their banking history, but the Brewhouse Grill, I think that they were already pretty flushed, going into the whole deal. So they had, money to throw at it, which is always a challenge when you open a brew pub with some of these smaller ones. You're already paying a loan off in 30 days, so you got to turn shit around as quick as you can. So,
and Cork and Fork is still there, right?
Yes.
Are they? I heard that Cork and Fork's staff was looking to unionize. I don't know if they did.
Such an odd place for them to unionize.
It seemed kind of weird to me too. But
I could see if they can only. I guess between the two, they probably employ more. But the one downtown, they could only have 20 employees in that place.
Right. There's not that many tables.
So I don't know, and maybe. Trust me, you know this stuff. I'm not a labor guy. I don't really know the ins and outs. But for a staff that small to one, it just seems weird. I don't know.
There's lots of small shops out there.
Is there?
Yeah. It's
I know.
Not that
when I was a kid, my dad ran his own business, and he employed about, let's say, 50 people. And I know that he was always anti-union because they were always knocking on his door, and they were always trying to rile up and he wasn't paying them real well, but but it was like assembly jobs. It was just like putting things together and moving them, So, but yeah, I know that was a thing. So I just don't know the ins and outs, but that's interesting to see because even, do we know of any restaurants off our heads, like even in Seattle or Portland where they're real like hipstery and progressive?
I'm sure there are out there.
You think?
But I'm not aware of any that are locally here that are organized. But
nothing.
I follow my industry, my business very closely, but I don't follow it that closely to tell you. I just heard reliably that there was a unionization effort. I
think someone tweeted that out, so I don't think it's a real big secret.
Okay, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I'm kind of surprised that some of these breweries haven't seen a unionization effort. I'm only surprised insofar as that I haven't heard about it. I think one of the things that really keeps these breweries maybe sheltered a little bit from organization efforts is that there's just so much turnover. Like, one of the primary factors you have to have around a unionization effort really is a consistent employee base, because you need to have people that are invested enough in that position at that job to say, I want to have better conditions here for me or for my fellow workers, and I want to stick around long enough in order to organize and then get a contract. And if you have like high turnover, it's really hard. And the best and easiest example of that is to like look at baseball versus like football. Like, football service records averages like 2.5 seasons.
It's down there, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
It's pretty pitiful, which is why I'm always on the player's side. You should get paid.
They should, but they're also got a really weak union because their membership can't hold out long enough in order to extract the deal. Because the players are saying, I don't have that many years. I'm going to get 1, maybe 2 contracts if I'm lucky. Very few get 3, and so they don't have the ability to burn a year in order to extract the real changes to the collective bargaining agreement that they need. That and the players are ready to give up marijuana testing for probably practically anything at this point. But baseball has very long service records, and it's the strongest union in sports. So that's like probably.
I guess some of these places get around that, like a New Belgium, like they were employee owned. So
Yes.
why
you don't need to unionize them.
Right.
Well,
Right.
yeah. I mean,
So I'm surprised more places haven't gone with that model. I don't really know the technicalities, and someone can comment and be like, well, here's why, and give me the whole rundown. But I'm surprised more mid to big breweries don't entertain that. Like, hey, you can be a part owner, something like that. I don't know. And then when the big boys show up at your front door, everybody gets paid. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of big boys working with smaller breweries, we are drinking Robin Hood Cream Ale. This is a collaboration. It's a rather unique one. So Robin Hood Cream Ale is a Yinzer beer from way back.
I see Pittsburgh Brewing Company on here.
Yeah, Pittsburgh Brewing Company used to make this, and they're the ones that make Iron City, Old German.
Yeah. Familiar with Old Jur.
And they collaborated with Dancing Gnome to release this cream ale, and I think it's fantastic.
It's a perfect sitting around drinking beer.
Yeah.
It's smooth. It's easy.
The only disappointing part about it is I worry that we won't see more of it. I don't know, but I really like it.
I don't know. Where'd you pick it up? Did you have to get it sent in, or?
My brother hooked me up.
Oh, cool.
So it was a limited release down at Dancing Gnome, and he got me half a case. So I was pretty happy.
When you said, I must have missed the cream ale part, you said Dancing Gnome, I immediately thought, oh, here comes an IPA.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's kind of like the unique thing about this is that this is a relatively delicate beer. It's very sweet. I mean, but it's damn good.
Yeah, I mean, this is a beer anyone can drink.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Yeah.
It's not it doesn't hit your palate over the head. It's just smooth and easy to go.
This is a summer beer if there ever was one.
Yeah. 4.5%. Yeah, this is really good. This is a good starter because we're about to go down a real figuratively and literally dark path here.
We're going to go down a black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get real dark. I really like this beer. I think that Pittsburgh Brewing Company needs to figure out its corporate model, figure out what it's going to do. It seems to be constantly shifting, like how it's going to market itself within the Pittsburgh area.
Are they still contract brewing Sam Adams there?
So they're my understanding is, so they moved out of Pittsburgh proper. My understanding is, and someone who's listening may correct me if I'm wrong, they're actually being contract brewed by the Latrobe Brewing Company, which
Where
is
Rolling
where
Rock
Rolling Rock used to be. Sam Adams is brewed out of there on contract, as is Duquesne Pilsner,
Oh, okay.
and it's probably a whole bunch of other stuff that I don't even know about.
American Light.
They actually, you can get, so if you're ever buying Jamaican Red Stripe, you actually got to look very carefully because there actually are two different versions.
Mm.
If you're buying in the can, and it does come in pounders and cans, I think you're exclusively getting it from Latrobe.
Okay.
And it says on there Jamaican style lager.
Oh, they can't say Jamaican lager.
Correct. But if you buy the bottles, you are more likely to find it in the bottles coming from Jamaica. But there are bottles that it is the Jamaican style. I've never seen them side by side in a store in order to like price match or anything. But it did lead to a rather hilarious moment with my father and I because we were on vacation. He brings home some Jamaican Red Stripe because he knows that on vacation I like having Jamaican Red Stripe. I like that beer. I think it's great on vacation. Drinking it on a really hot day is just it's the right beer for me. You know,
little stubby red bottles, they
yeah.
painted.
And they just disappear. Like you crack one open and gone. They're great. And he's looking at it. He goes, I don't think this is brewed in Jamaica. And I pick up a bottle. I go, of course it is. Of course it's brewed in Jamaica. And we're down in like the Outer Banks or something like that. I don't know where we're at. And I turn the bottle over. I'm like, it's brewed in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Like we drove all this way to buy beer that's brewed in my backyard. It's like it was so disturbing because he's like it says it's Jamaican style lager. It means it's not Jamaican. I'm like that can't be right.
You know, the last time I had a Red Stripe, I was literally 19 years old and in Jamaica.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I never would have thought to see where it was brewed, but.
It was brewed. I mean,
Jamaica,
I doubt they're shipping it down there.
Red Stripe and Guinness out there's just Guinness everywhere.
Really?
Yes. Like, so when you go, the towns, like the resorts and everything are kind of where we stay, and it's kind of dangerous to wander away unless you're with a group.
Yeah.
So they put you on like a bus, and they're like, all right, we're going to go to Ocho Rios or whatever the hell. And along the way, there's all these huts, and you can just stop and grab Guinness at these huts, and they have signs like those oldie-timey Guinness signs up.
Yeah.
You can get a Red Stripe or a Guinness at all these little sideways huts, and some of these guys just reach in the water and like pull out lobsters or fish and cook them up, and
that'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, but you're kind of in the middle of Jamaica, and you're like, so you know, that could go left in a hurry.
Yeah,
but you know, then the bus rolls up into this town, and they're letting you try on jewelry, and they give you a Red Stripe in the jewelry store because they want you drunk, so you buy more shit. Like, I mean, it's fun when you're with a rich white family and doing it like the safe way, but I can't imagine just going down there and being like, we're just gonna
go wing it,
fly by the seat of our pants. Like, yeah, it's a good way to end up, and they'll throw you in jail down there for anything because they know you likely have the money. They'll just name the price to get you out of jail.
That's one of the things about like going down to the Caribbean. Being here in America, we have a certain like image of poverty, and then when you go to a third world country and you see real poverty, you're like, holy shit. It's different.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you end up with no electricity for a million years after a hurricane blows through. And you think, well, why aren't they prepared for that? And it's like, they can't afford.
They can't prepare for what? For what?
I mean,
they're just trying to scrape by.
It's exactly right. But then sometimes you'll see, like, remember Ben Johnson, the disgraced Olympian?
Yeah.
Like his mansion's up on the side there, and he's you know, like, you'll see stuff like that, and it's crazy, man.
My fondest memory of having Jamaican Red Stripe was on my honeymoon. We're in St. Thomas in
nice.
Charlotte.
St. Thomas, another dangerous place.
It can be.
Yeah.
We're in Charlotte, Amelie, which is the downtown area, and there's an open market there, and they're selling everything. You want it, you can find it to be bought there. My wife's looking at sundresses, beautifully patterned, bright sundresses, and I look over and I see this guy, and he's selling hot dogs, and he's got a cooler full of beer, $2 for a Jamaican Red Stripe. I hand him a $10 bill, and I'm like, I'm gonna be here for a while. And I sat there on his cooler and sucked down 5 Jamaican Red Stripes, one after another. And I'm talking with him, and he's talking about selling hot dogs, and he was from the mainland, decided to sell all of his shit and move to St. Thomas and sell hot dogs. And he was totally burned out, and he appeared very happy. And he had a really good gig going because he's.
When you say burned out, you mean like he got burned out with corporate America, moved down there, or you mean burned out like he was stoned out of his mind?
Yes. and he had a good gig going. He sells hot dogs and has husband sitting on his cooler sucking down beers at $2 a bottle, and while their wives are walking around shopping, and it was great. I am baking in the sun and getting loaded on bottles of
That's
Jamaican
how they
Red Stripe.
loosen up your credit card.
Yeah, it does work.
Well,
It
I'll tell
does
you,
work.
when we, I don't know if it's still this way. I mean, this is like the first and only time I was ever out of the country, and my parents took the whole family down there, and it was like wide, your eyes open wide as to like this part of the world is something I've never seen. We got off the plane, and this is 1994. We got off the plane, and it was like one of those stairway things. It wasn't like you're attached to the building.
you're walking on the tarmac.
So you're down, and then on the bottom, there's just a dude with a cooler of beer, just handing them out to people. And I'm 19. I'm legal in Jamaica. I'm like, line them up, buddy.
Yeah.
And it was all all inclusive.
Yeah,
So I was just at the bar every day getting smashed at 19 years old legally. It was just crazy.
God.
I felt I felt like I was cheating life at some point. I was like, man, this is.
You've
good.
been cheating life the whole way, Ed.
I tell you what, the death hasn't gotten me yet. That's.
Oh.
I'm gonna make it out of this. If I can make it out of quarantine with a full bill of health, I mean, we're gonna be doing something because I've been left to my own devices for 4 months with nothing to do, like almost literally nothing to do outside.
Well,
of
you
pay
did
bills.
the completion thing on Zelda, right? Did you 100% it?
I am at 99.91%.
Oh, so you still have to wander around touching everything?
No, I need to. They strip you of all your stuff, and you have to defeat the Blight Ganons without. They give you like 3 weapons and like your magic abilities, and they take all your armor and everything, and you have to beat those. And I'm just
Oh,
like,
no.
but I have all the shrines done. I did 900 Korok seeds. Now my new thing is trying to upgrade all my armor.
Yeah.
And so I've been going. I finally am at the point where I got one set of armor up, so I'm just Lionel hunting. Like I'm just going out, and that, I just it's just one of those things. So yeah, next I want to do Hollow Knight. I'm close to the end of that.
I gave up Hollow Knight.
It's like an NES difficulty type.
Yeah,
game.
it's too hard. I gave up.
And I'm stuck on a boss, and my problem is I'll get stuck at a spot and then go away for 6 months, and then come back and just chip away at it. So
Did you beat Cuphead?
Oh my God, no!
That's super hard.
It's that game is like, it's not unfair, but it's a game that just takes a shit ton of repetition.
Yeah.
But the difficulty on that is through the roof. Like there's no hand holding at all.
Yeah.
It's like, it's very difficult. And I mean, I watch videos of people doing stuff, and I'm always on YouTube trying to figure out, and I still can't do it. My motor skills are dwindling, I think. Like if you threw that glass at me, I'd be like, brrr.
I had a Google alert on Breath of the Wild 2, but like I got tired of like the same story being regurgitated from like all these different bullshit sites, so I had to turn it off. I don't know. I desperately want it for this fall, but I don't think we're getting it.
That's 2021. Nintendo's been so quiet about stuff. It's been crazy. Like, it's bad enough that when I turned on YouTube, the first thing one of my subscriptions is, hey, Nintendo, what's the deal with 2020? Like, people are freaking out.
Yeah, like, is anything coming?
Or they just, now, do you just push everything to November, December and pray that you bounce back with a giant Christmas?
Or, I mean, are they keeping their powder dry, waiting to see what the Xbox, whatever
Well, I
it
think
is, and
that is a standoff, too, because Sony hasn't mentioned pricing. Xbox, Microsoft hasn't mentioned pricing, and Nintendo hasn't announced like big games for the quarter here. So are they all just kind of looking and waiting to see what the other one does?
Yeah.
And then I think it'll be Microsoft. They'll first be like, all right, it's $500.
Yeah.
Everyone off to the races, and then Sony will be like, oh, well, that sucks because our digital only model is now $400. But then if you want physical media, that one's going to be $600.
Who's
probably.
buying physical media in 2020?
Well, people freak out over that because if you buy only digital stuff, and I'm lazy, I'm not. I do have a couple copies, but like they always fear that if they shut down something that you're just going to lose all your games.
Right.
I mean, all my Wii games are still alive on my Wii in there.
Right.
But if it dies, you can't just get another console.
Yeah.
So people freak out that they can just disable or take away your games at any time. So there are gamers out there that will just buy physical as much as they can, just to combat that. So you can still put it in the slot and it'll play.
I mean, my problem is that my my card in my Switch, it's 128 gigabytes and it's full.
We had to go to like a 500.
Will it take that much?
It should take up to a terabyte.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that was the specs. Yeah, but it took the 500. So because we ran out of room. I mean, you put like Skyrims on there and Zelda and all that stuff. They take up a lot of memory, man.
Yeah.
And it like I'll even order stuff from my phone. Like I'd be sitting at work and some game will go on sale and it's already downloaded when I get home. But you do that enough times and you get a couple of the wrong games and you're over your limit. And it only comes with 32 gigs on board, which is, I mean, there's not even cell phones that come with that anymore.
Yeah. So, ready for beer number 2?
I'm not finished with this one, but I'm ready to move on if you are.
Yeah. Even though, like, work is reaching out to me, I got blow them off.
I saw you out there, and I was like, all right, he'll be at the door. And I was like, he must have taken a phone call.
Yeah. I was supposed to be off, like, all afternoon, but that's just not.
You're just never off.
I'm just never off.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. Some jobs are like that where you're just constantly, you're on a plane. I got Wi-Fi. I can take this call.
All right. Beer number 2. We're going to go with, this is an Evergreen.
All right. All right. So yesterday I went over for the Black is Beautiful Harris Family Evergreen and Wolf Brewing collab. It is a 9.5% Imperial Stout. They describe it as a banana bread, which...
Oh, man, it's banana.
Derek, I haven't had this yet. Derek opened a can in front of me. It was the first time he had it yesterday, Derek Wolf. And he was real happy with the way it turned out. And he was describing to me the proportions of walnut and like the extract and everything you had to put in there to get the flavor. And he was worried would it come out. And he said he really enjoyed the way it came out. So I'm looking forward to it.
Man, the banana is in the nose is really intense, and then the cinnamon in the. So I just took a little sip. I'm gonna take it on.
Ooh, that is banana.
Yeah, it's super banana-y. And then the cinnamon shows up. And the banana is more in the nose for me. I'm not catching the walnut yet. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of woodiness. I don't know.
The banana smells great. I could just sit here and smell this and be happy.
So I got when I heard that it was they were doing like a banana thing. I was a little worried that for me, like banana can come off really artificial. Did they use an extract or did they use actual bananas?
I know they did for the walnut. I can't speak to the bananas.
I'm impressed at how balanced it is. I mean, it's not.
The cinnamon comes off on the end a little grainy for me, but I think that's kind of natural with cinnamon.
Yeah, I'm catching on. It is very sweet.
For a big stout, this is carbonated just about perfectly, too. Like
it is.
Sometimes they come out over carb. This is pretty perfect.
It's pretty velvety.
Yes. That's the word that I was trying to get at, and you said it before me. That's good.
The bubbles are super tiny. It's not real great. It's not real greasy in the glass or in the mouth. It's just right.
It's sometimes when you hear banana bread or whatever beer, and you kind of like, there's too many words in that description, and things can go awry. But this is really good.
Yeah, and it's not too heavy. It's not like a real heavy stout.
This one is not. I think the other ones that we have might come out a little heavier, but we'll see. 9.5. With a beer like this, sometimes I'm like, man, I wish this was 10 or 11, but beggars can't be choosers. It came out, and I might have overheard this wrong, but I think that they might have some in a whiskey barrel of some kind. So that would be interesting. Banana
whiskey
and booze. I might have overheard that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what
I don't know if I'm up for that. I mean, I'll definitely try it.
not going to not try
Yeah,
it if I can get
I'm
my
not,
hands on it.
I'm not going to not try it. Yes, that's the right way to put it.
What have I always said? If you put battery acid in bourbon, I'll drink it. You know, I don't know.
I wonder how this would be on nitro.
That's a fantastic question. I don't know if, other than that, I don't think they have any, like, they didn't keg any. I think they wanted to sell as much as they can because this, the proceeds go to Black Lives Matter
Right.
charities.
I don't think we mentioned this is the Black is Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
collaboration.
We totally buried that.
Yeah,
I'm
this-
so sorry, Harris Family, Wolf, and Evergreen.
yeah. We mentioned who made it. But
Yeah,
there's a higher purpose here.
people who listen to us probably drew that conclusion, but yeah, this is the Black is Beautiful, which is the it's a I guess some brewery put out a recipe and every breweries can brew it to whatever they want kind of thing. So I know that they used or at least at Love City, I think they swapped out one of the dark malts for like a chocolate malt instead to do something a little different, and I think that one has coconut. But and Harris right now is kind of gypsy brewing, where they're just going around and visiting other breweries and brewing with them. But yeah, so they did one with Love City, they did one here with Evergreen and Wolf. So yeah, so they wanted to can it because A, they're raising money for the movement, and B, some of that's going to help them opening their brewery as well. Which, if you've been following their stories, they've had a lot of hurdles to go over and things like that. So, you know, more than happy to support all that, and you know, it's a good cause. And they had 40 cases, and by the time I left, I was there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. They were already down to half of that. So
Wow,
it
that's
was
great.
selling. Yeah, it was. I was like 1, 2 in line. It was me and another dude kind of were first in line, and then I looked behind me, and the line was out the door. Now 6 feet apart helps, but
Yeah.
they still would have had a line out the door even if everybody congregated.
Now, this was started by Weathered Souls Brewing.
There you go. I couldn't think of the
Marcus B. founder. I'm sorry. Marcus B. is the founder and head brewer at Weathered Souls. And if you go to blackisbeautiful.beer, you can read more about it. I'm going to download the recipe right now. Kind of see what. Oh,
Yeah, so it's almost like a crowdsourced beer. Like here's the blueprint for it.
Yeah.
Make it the way you tweak
Yeah.
it to your liking, and I think that's it's a really cool idea because it gets like it. I was happy to see Harris Family got to go down to like Love City and work with them and talk with
Yeah.
them about brewing and everything, and it's they're collecting a lot of good information, and they're fun guys, man. And working with Evergreen, whose system now is so efficient, and Derek Wolf, who is opening his brewery here probably hopefully spring 2021. Derek really he just knows what he's doing around beer, man.
He really does.
And it's funny talking to him. He's not like one of these guys who has to put everything in like he probably does, and I don't know it, but he doesn't overly like science-fy it. He doesn't mind breaking the mold of what it's supposed to be a little bit. Like he might have a spreadsheet, but he's not that meticulous about what's going in. Now when he's open, he probably will do a little bit differently, but it's I mean, this beer's in good hands.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Derek and what's going on. We've talked about him a bunch of times, and I think for as long as this podcast has been on, and even the podcast that birthed this one, he's been in the process of leading towards opening a brewery, and he has a foundation now. I mean,
The
foundation's
I think
laid, right?
Yesterday he was leaving to go work on drainage stuff, like to make sure
Yeah.
that's all running right. But I guess they looked around and they were wondering like, should they lease? What are they going to do? And they just landed on, nope, build your own building.
Yeah.
Because and it's smart. That's why like if you're a celebrity, you shouldn't lease a car. If you go broke, you can at least sell the car back,
Right.
or whatever. So he's like, yeah. So they wanted to new construction, and it's coming along nicely. He said they haven't had anything. And the good part about this is with the current situation with the pandemic, I'm glad that I don't have to watch, another one of my friends. How do we stay open? How do we get beer
Right.
out? So he'll come out of this.
Hopefully.
Hopefully things don't go awry, but he should come out of this on the other side, on the right side of it. And it's
Yeah.
probably for the best that he's been delayed
Yeah.
a little bit. So
Yep. Looking at the recipe for this, Black is Beautiful. It's labeled an oatmeal stout. 10 pounds of pale malt, 2 pounds of oats flaked, 1 pound of chocolate malt, and then smaller amounts of barley, crystal or caramel malts, roasted barley, chocolate rye malt, and then black malt. A whole pound of corn syrup, and then it's Columbus. It's the CTZ hops, Cascade, and then it uses a standard California ale yeast.
Yeah, and it says molasses, cinnamon, banana puree, which means it's actual banana, and walnut, which I think they use an extract for.
Yeah, and 100% of the proceeds go to local foundations that support police brutality reform and legal defense for those who've been wronged. That's for Weathered Souls, but they're obviously, I think, expecting a similar.
Part of what
use.
Harris family is doing is they're working with Black Chamber of Commerce. And
cool.
I think what they're trying to do, instead of just giving the money to a Chamber of Commerce, is to get a grant that's like the Harris Family Brewing grant.
Yeah.
To kind of take ownership of where the money will go to Black-owned businesses.
Yeah.
Because I guess the whole thing is, and these guys are going to kill me if I get this wrong, but I guess when you deal with a Chamber of Commerce, sometimes that money can go other places. It can vanish if they have to pay an electric
bill.
bill.
They want to make sure that it goes specifically to the cause they
appropriated in the right. Yeah, so good on them for that.
1,066 breweries, 50 states, 20 countries are brewing this. So that's a lot. That
is a lot.
That's great.
And there's 4 in this house.
And there are 4 in this house.
Well, we have 3. One was hidden from me by the significant other that Springhouse brewed.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh,
maybe if we save some of this for her,
that's not contributing to the cause.
Well, it's already bought, so yes, it is. What you do with it after that, nobody cares.
That's true. Back to this beer.
And now I will say, I thought that these were going to be $20 4-packs. My case was only, I think, my case was $100 on the nose. So I don't know what that math works out to. So I didn't think that was that bad. I was expecting more. So yeah, I'm more than happy. And like when I saw the line behind me, I was going to be like, well, I'll take 3 4-packs, and then maybe because they were doing other release, they had another beer, and I just looked back and I go, all right, Terry, just give me the whole case. I'll make it easy on you. He's like, here, I don't care. So yeah, but
cool.
Yeah.
Now it's warmed up a little bit. It's very dry in the finish for me, which I like.
I think that cinnamon does that sometimes. It can, even though cinnamon, I don't think cinnamon's water absorbent, which is a thing. Hence the cinnamon challenge, because it doesn't it stays.
Right. Was that hydrophilic? Is that what it is?
Boy, are you barking up the wrong tree here? Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Meanwhile, someone was listening. They're like, here goes Bill talking out his ass again.
Someone's pounding on a table like, you idiot.
That's not it. Yeah, this is good. I feel like the walnut kind of gets lost, but that might just be me.
Which is funny because Derek said he tasted the walnut.
Well, his palate's more attuned to this stuff than me.
Sure, and mine, trying to deprive myself of sugars, the banana right away is going to smack me in the face.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt about that.
I think the banana is much more clearly defined in the nose.
Well, I also think that none of the ingredients are overdone. Which is in a beer like this tough to do. And especially when you're on somebody else's system brewing, you don't, so
cinnamon can get out of control pretty quickly, and that's not happening here. So that's really good.
Yeah,
that's probably if you want to be able to definitively say, why is this objectively good? They used cinnamon and they didn't blow it out. So good job.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. This is right up my alley. It's a big stout with some fun flavors in it, and
the banana's not artificial, which happens. Is this your first time having it?
First sips.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it's funny. I was going to sit here and I was going to blast Derek for drinking it in front of me right at the table we were sitting at, and then I'm like, oh wait, it's COVID. We can't share shit.
No,
and they don't want to open a new can just for me to try it. So, kudos to him.
Yeah. Let's actually go back to the last one, the Robin Hood.
Yeah.
On Untapped, 3.84.
I'd say that's Untapped good.
That is Untapped good. I think that one. I think this beer actually suffers from the style penalty that Untapped exerts on everything that's not
Because
New England.
everyone sees cream ale and thinks Jenny
Right.
cream ale.
Yeah, which Jenny Cream Ale is good.
It is.
It is really good, and it's cheap.
They used to have it on tap at the Speakeasy, and he would serve it in those mason jar mugs, and
Oh.
I was all over it. And I
It's
think
so
they were
good.
$2. I'm
Yeah,
like,
so
hell
good.
yeah. I'm Legion drinking.
It's hard to find Jenny Cream Ale on tap around here.
Yeah, he would every once in a while get like a cheap beer of the month and put it on as like a little experiment, and I drank the hell out of that Jenny cream ale.
So 3.84 with only 305 check-ins, which is really low.
What a-hole gave that a 1 star?
Well-
There has to be someone in there who's like, "Meh."
We can find out. Let's see. We
I
got-
figured that having the name Dancing Gnome on it alone would give it a...
it's a lot of 4s, 3.5s.
I'd say that's accurate, though.
This is my favorite. Eric G. Interesting, not for me, but worth a try. 3 stars. I mean, come on. Look, this is a classic beer, well done
Brewed to
by a
style.
modern brewery.
Yeah.
It's a classic style.
One brewery that should brew it, another that's probably like, what the hell's a cream ale? But at the same
Right.
time, they killed it. It's fine. It's good.
It's super clean. And then here's John H. A little disappointed in this one, but valiant effort. 3.5. I mean, what was disappointing about it? They nailed the style.
Sometimes I think they should clarify how many cream ales have you had, or it should show other cream ales rated by this user or something like that. There's a good idea. Here's I'm judging a stout. Here's the last 4 stouts that this guy is,
Right.
here's
Right.
his last 4.
Like, it shows your bona fides.
Right. So it's not just like, oh, this person hates IPAs and is just going to shit on them to keep the scores
Yeah.
down.
The one thing that I would like to know is like, what does someone who used to drink this like 40 years ago before it disappeared think of it? Like, can they bring back that recollection of the beer before it disappeared? And
I mean,
Yeah.
I was drinking it, and basically, I didn't get hit over the head with any flavors. It was smooth. It was easy to drink, and I was like, yeah I could see myself drinking 5 of these.
Oh yeah. It's in a. There are pounders that they give us. I'm always advocating for pounders, but I feel like that's probably a 12-ounce beer because you want it cold.
And yeah, no, I can see that.
Yeah.
Problem is, I think we're in a can shortage right now. So
We are because at least 3 local breweries had put out on social media that they were asking for 16-ounce or 12-ounce cans. That if anyone had any extras, because they had a canning run, they needed to go through. So the growler, the crowler shortage we had 3 months ago now is apparently a can shortage.
Oh, I just thought of something about Harris too. One of the things they're going to do is they are going to have beers available when they have them to go. This is
Or they could do 40s.
in branded bags, paper bags.
That's awesome. Or they could do 40s.
Yeah,
Oh, that is brilliant.
yeah.
I love it.
They're doing 40s of craft beer to go in, and the bags are
and-
going to be branded
right,
with the Harris
right.
family. Like,
So the bag's got to be right though, because you got to be able to like roll the top down just a little bit, right?
I'm day one on that shit.
I mean, yeah, because the paper bag's got to be substantial enough that you can roll that top down without like ripping
yeah,
too much, right?
I mean,
but yeah,
how awesome is
God,
that?
that'd be so good.
Yeah.
Oh man, your 40 disc golf game just got an upgrade.
I don't know. An upgrade from Old English 800?
Yeah, that's an
It's always funny when we go out there and we peel back those 40s, and by the third hole, I'm like, man, people shit on these beers, but they're not that bad. Like, they're easy to drink.
So this has this Black is Beautiful Evergreen collab has 36 check-ins and is averaging a 4.22.
Oh, nice. That's big.
Friend check-ins are 4.33. So it's pretty good. Pretty good.
So I bought a glass for you and a glass for me. They have the Black is Beautiful glasses.
Yeah.
They had like a merch table there, and all the
Nice.
money's going to help their brewery. And other. So they had those glasses, and they were also selling like the Black Lives Matter and like the yard signs too, which I thought was interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were selling signage, which was kind of cool.
So,
and they had. I know people who listen to this probably don't get the demographics, but they had a diverse turnout, and for like a Camp Hill brewery like
Good.
that, yeah, it was exciting to see. And they had a camera crew there of some kind. I don't know if it was the news, but they had someone there filming, another guy taking pictures and stuff. So, they opened big, and it was good to see.
hey, so the real question is, okay, after this beer is gone, what happens? I think that Harris Family Breweries finally, after 3 years, I think it's got the foundation down, right?
Yeah, and I think this is yet another thing that's in my head, and Sean or Tim can come kill me if I get this wrong. I apologize. I think that they might be looking at, we're not too far off from them being able to do beers to go. I mean, you have to be cleared to be able to brew on premises and
Right.
sell it.
Right.
So they can only do events with what they, basically garage brew at this point. But the feeling I got is that it's a 2020 thing that's going to happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'll be there day one. I think the broader question is like, we got more than 1,000 breweries doing this, and this is real good. We've talked before about good beer doing real good, and that's important. But what this can't be is a virtue signal. It's not enough to brew this beer and take the proceeds and donate it to the cause that it is appropriately associated with. There's a real need for craft beer as a whole to pull up another stool to the bar, and to have that stool be there and properly established at the bar for not just black brewers, which is great that Harris Family is getting into it. But craft beer needs to open itself up or find ways into making inroads to non-white males with beards.
Oh,
consumers.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
Back in the early to mid 2000s, there was one black guy in craft beer, Garrett Oliver. And I'm
God
sure that
love
there
him.
were a couple others, but like,
Yep.
he was like the face of it, and
Yeah.
he's a super dude. Everyone seems to really like him. But now, if you were to ask me 10, 15, years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, 1,000 plus breweries brewing a Blackest Beautiful beer, I'd have been like, what? I think it's becoming more prevalent, and I think it's good. But still, we're looking at Harris Family in 2020 as being the first black-owned brewery in Pennsylvania. Is that?
I know. I would have thought we were here by now.
You'd think. But yeah, I mean, and it is fairly or unfairly either way. I mean, it is hipster bearded guy kind of culture.
It is.
And which it's just the way it is. Like but it's good to see people moving in. And not only that, the beer community also embracing that. I can see where
Right.
they might get some pushback, but from everything that I've heard, they've had great experiences across the board with any brewery that they've worked with, and this also being a testament to that. So
Yeah.
they've made a lot of friends. They've rubbed a lot of they've pressed the flesh with a lot of people, and I think they've made a great impression. They're super fun dudes, man. Like
They are.
Yeah.
Well, we interviewed them on one occasion.
they still remember that and bring it up. Like just they're like I hate to say, I was standing in line at Evergreen, and I'm just like, all right, and I got my Falcons mask on, and I'm just standing there like a good boy. And Tim comes over, he's like, my man, like, boom, and then I got Derek walking past. Hey, Ed, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like I never left. And then Terry's like, Ed, what do you want? And I'm like, these people behind me must think I'm an asshole.
Here's the guy that knows everyone. Yeah.
Hey, Ed, how's that second liver treating you? Like, yay. But yeah, it's just weird, to see. But it's good to have that diversity, and I'm glad that they're going to be right down the street here. I'm really excited to see it, and
Allison Hill, right? Allison Hill.
it's going to be on the hill. I forget what street it is.
Yeah.
Because it moved a couple times. Like
Yeah.
for a couple months, every time we asked them, it was somewhere else. I think it's 13th or 17th. if I could be
They've
wrong.
worked so hard to get this off the ground.
And part of the problem, they've had to jump a lot of hurdles, and some of that was, I think Tim has a past, and that, some people were a little, hesitant with that. I think he got some pushback with that. Where are you getting the money? They had some of their fundraising stuff didn't go well, and I don't know why that is. But
here's the problem, and I think this goes to why this beer and its existence and just merely brewing it and the proceeds isn't enough. The craft beer has to live that what it espouses, which is community, a certain liberalness that I think is appropriate, and a welcomingness, and it needs to be open to all. Craft beer should be universal. As long as I've been in it, it has not been.
And that's always been my thing too. Like when people, a lot of my cynicism towards craft beer lately, or in the past, let's say 5 years, has been, why are we trying to make drinking so complicated? Like it's drinking, like it's
Right.
supposed to be the great social equalizer. And if you can't just sit there and drink and have a good time with the guy next to you, why are you even in it?
Yeah.
And that bothers me because I'm more on the social end of that aspect rather than the geek end of it. And I'm like, hey, I like this IPA. And then you get the guy who's like, oh, this sucks because this hop blows or whatever. And, they shouldn't have put, Bananas Foster in this stout or whatever the hell they're doing. There's people like that. These pastry stouts are terrible. God, when I go to Atlanta, you'd think a New England IPA was literally like the Russians invading and we need to get rid of them. Like it and they still do it. It's crazy. And I don't know if that's just regional or whatever, but I'm just like, man, you really take the fun out of living. Like, don't overthink it. Just drink and have fun.
The craft beer has been, and I've gotten caught up in this. The premium was the product, and I will tell you, I think from an economic business standpoint, that's still true. It's necessary. Like you actually have to have the premium associated with the product in order for it to survive, because going down market was always going to be a losing proposition for the industry. But the premium on the product should never have been cultural. It should have just been business-wise. But I think that they've done it both. The exclusivity just became too important.
True. And all right, we're going to do a beer release. We only made 30 cases of it. And so line up at 6 a.m, and here's how out of touch I am, or maybe I just remember, that era. I drove over there at 9 a.m. yesterday just to see if anybody was waiting. And then I had time to kill. I got my car washed at a Sheetz, and then I went to Wegmans real quick. And I came back, and it was about 10 o'clock, and I sat there, and I kept watching. So I sat in my car for about an hour. Then I saw one dude walk up and start taking pictures, and I was like, all right. So, and that was about 10 till.
And they opened
10 to
11.
11, yeah. And so,
Yeah.
And then at 10:55, then people started coming up over the hill, and that's when it started. So it wasn't like, get there at 6 a.m. and bring a chair. I had 2 camping chairs in the back of my car ready to go. But it didn't come to that, and I was happy about it.
Right.
And in hindsight, that's just me being overly cautious. But at the same time, I was like, well, what if it becomes a zoo? Because I don't know how much they made and blah, blah, blah. And it was, so.
This did have the potential to be that, because there's a lot of people that are.
And I'd be willing to bet once
about
the 5 p.m. happy hour crowd came in that it's gone.
It was gone.
I'd be
Yeah, it
willing
was
to bet
definitely
that they
gone by
sold out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a house of fire early too.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good beer. It's well constructed. We got another one.
Yeah, let me get some fresh glass.
We're gonna get some Woo! Fresh glasses. This one is by Levante. So we got. We're gonna go with the proper glassware.
Yeah, I meant to go with that on the first one because it's the Harris family glass.
Yeah.
But I dropped the
This
ball.
is Dope Family.
Harris Family Breweries, and then on the back it's black is beautiful. These are really nice glasses too. I love this style of glass.
This is a standard tulip. It's a nice big one. And this Levante, it smells more like a standard, like chocolate stout to me. I'm just kicking this on here. This is much more highly carbonated. Looks a lot thinner. And the color is similar to the other one with a nice tan head. In this case, the other one had no head.
This smells more like a standard stout.
Yeah.
Coffee. It just said, and this one just says Imperial Stout.
Wow, this one's pretty sweet. Can't really pick up any
It
adjuncts.
smells
on it.
like I could be mismelling. It smells kind of like a milk stout.
Yeah, there is a kind of a creaminess to it. Let me take a nice look at this one. 'Cause
Man, that is sweet.
it's super sweet.
I feel like there's lactose in there of some kind. That's about as far as on the nerd scale as I go.
So this dropped yesterday.
Oh, this one too?
Yeah. And oh man. No head retention. There is a lactose to this, I think. We have the ability to look this up. We have the power. So the banana in the Harris Wolf Evergreen version was really made it interesting because it made it distinct. This one is
This one's a little more close to the vest standard. If I had to, I think the Harris one was very well done. This one's well done too. It's just I wish we were doing the banana one second instead of first. Like it just has a lot more personality. It's like having a fun aunt.
So Levante's version is 11%. It says sweetness balanced by the depth of toasted malt character. This luscious, full-bodied imperial stout warms you up as it goes down with enticing flavors of roasted coffee dripping with tantalizing notes of caramel and sweet brown sugar. Good to the last drop.
Oh, maybe that's what it is, the caramel and sugar.
It's the caramel. It's not a shows you what we know.
It does taste like a milk stout to me, though. Like usually they come out on the sweet end.
Yeah.
Now I can taste the caramel in it, though.
Yeah, caramel. Like
that could just be the power of suggestion, but I feel it.
No, it's there. It's there in the finish. Oh. So
I know basically nothing about Levante. Like I keep hearing about them, and I keep getting them mixed up with Lavery or whatever. Like if it starts with an Levity, and there's a Lavery.
Oh, Lavery's in Erie.
There you go. Like
Lavery's in Erie. Levity's in like Indiana, PA.
They're up at not IUP. That's just what I call Indiana, PA.
Yeah,
it's all IUP. Yeah. So and those guys, I actually met those guys when they brought their stuff to the Midtown.
Levity is a great name for a brewery. And
yeah,
have that paper airplane moniker. That's just so good.
Yeah, I know nothing about Levante.
So Levante, when I first went there, I want to say like 5 years ago. I went in and the place was like super tiny. They had 5, maybe 6 tap handles. I show up and I got a couple of glass growlers to fill, right? And they're like, we're closed. I'm like, oh, sorry. I just was swinging by. I thought I'd see if I can fill it up. And they're like, well, while you're here. And they filled up a couple of my growlers. And
that's the beauty of a small brewery. They'll be like, well, we closed at 3, but
whatever. They weren't open yet. Yeah. They didn't care. They were selling me some beers. And while they were filling them up, I had one. Talked to the brewer. And it was open space. You stood in the brewery to have your beer poured, staring at the tanks. It was all one open space. And he gives, I'm walking around with my pint, talking to the guy, listening to what he had to say. And I was like, this place is pretty good. I had a standard IPA, the Chief. I remember because it just was like, I'm going to have one out of that. They bring that back from time to time. It was good. But it wasn't, they didn't have any distinct character, in my opinion. They just had some nice beers.
I hate to use the term regular beers, but just
nice beers.
Yeah,
nice beers. And then I didn't go back for like a year and a half because I wasn't working there in the area, and I visited there occasionally. The next time I went back, I specifically went because someone I followed on Twitter was an assistant brewer there, Gilly, nice guy, and I wanted to pick his brain. and they had a Pilsner on with toasted rice.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, it's interesting, but it's not Pilsner. You're fucking with it too much. It was kind of nice for a beer. Super light. It was extra clean. He was really excited about it. And I was kind of sitting there like kind of suspect, like, you put the Pilsner moniker on it or the Pilsner label on it, and it's not a Pilsner. Like this is not. But it was clean and refreshing. It was good. And I didn't go back for a while later. I go back a couple of, after I get a job down there, and they kind of walled it off. They had greatly expanded. They had a really nice little brew pub space there. They put some outdoor seating, and they were now canning, and they really had gotten into the hazy IPA beers, and at that point it was clear that their stouts were really, in my opinion, just well established. They were able to do the really big 10, 11, 12% stouts and do them well.
There is an art to that.
Yeah, they do those exceptionally well.
Oh.
Their King of Birds might be one of my favorite, like 12% stouts. It's just gigantic. It's really good. And their beers are well done. Their New England IPAs are not as soft as I probably prefer, but I like them. I buy them, and they're great. It's a nice place to visit. Their staff there are very nice.
And
It's small.
they're in Westchester?
It's right next to the Westchester University campus.
Oh, cool. Well,
Yeah.
What a right-handed layup. They got that. There's an Iron Hill there.
Iron Hill's in downtown.
Yeah, I've been to that Iron Hill. I really
and Sterling Pig, which I've not made it to.
I don't know what that is.
It's a brew pub. And a brew pub in like the old school sense, like brew on premise and sell food.
Right.
I've not made it there yet. It's on the list.
There's a place down there that I've been to one time. It's near Westchester. called
Boxcar?
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. Not been
Pinocchio's.
there. Oh.
It's not a brewery. It's a bottle shop and like an eatery at the same time.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
Get it on your radar. It's like you can
Yeah.
find some really good bottles there.
Boxcar used to be down there.
I
that went
found
south.
we had a gift certificate for a free case of beer from Boxcar.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I don't know if they've gone completely under. They closed their brew pub.
Yes, I don't know what the deal is, but I mean the thing's like 8 years old, so I don't even know if they
good
would
luck
accept.
checking that,
Yeah,
yeah.
if they're
Cashing
if
in.
they're hurting that bad, they're probably going to be like, fuck off.
I thought they had a halfway decent ESB, and everything else was not good.
Yeah.
They had a mango IPA that always was moving around. Every time I had it, it was different. It wasn't very good. But their English pub ale was pretty good. They had an interesting kind of like, I think, branding, but they couldn't get it done. Their brew pub actually was in the old. It was in a bar that was owned by one of the guys that was on Jackass. I can't remember. Bam Majera.
It was Bam.
Bam's old like bar / nightclub. They bought that space.
Yeah, I think Bam hit some hard times like with drugs and stuff, so he probably had to like either close or sell or.
Is he dead?
No, Ryan Dunn died in the
Ryan
car
Dunn
accident.
died.
yeah.
Okay. Ryan Dunn was from Westchester too, right?
They're all Westchester guys. Them and the Bloodhound Gang too.
God.
CKY, yeah. Except I think Johnny Knoxville is not from that area. He just kind of got in with
Glommed
them.
on to them.
Yeah, but like Ryan Dunn,
Yeah.
Ray Keown, all those guys, they
Yeah.
used to do videos under a moniker called CKY, and it was
Can't
the
Kill
band
Yourself, right?
CKY was with them, and that's Bam's brother or one of those guys' brother.
Okay.
And so they used to release like these VHS tapes that
Yeah.
just said CKY, and it's them just smashing into each other in shopping carts and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they're all Westchester guys.
Okay. Yeah. They're making another Jackass movie. Part of me wants to be like, when you start getting the AARP like mailings, you're probably not up for this shit anymore.
And I mean, some of those guys, like I know Steve-O's been through the ringer, and he's still like kicking it, and he's doing comedy shows and stuff. But like,
He got real dark.
How can you take any more of this abuse? Like it,
I don't know.
those guys. I just can't believe some of them are still, kicking it.
That being said, Beehive limo is still one of my all-time favorite gags.
I'm allergic to bee stings, and that scares the shit out of me. Every
That
time I watch
skit-
it, I freak out. Like I feel like there's bees on me.
That skit cracks me up.
I always thought the funniest one was when they glued the pubes to the one
Oh,
dude's
the
face,
guy's
and,
face, that was
and
funny, yeah.
he was like, "Boom, boom, we're gonna blow up the airport." And then the guy puts him in the trunk.
Yeah, so racist.
It's the worst.
So racist.
But then
That's
he
funny.
finds out that there were licy pubes on his.
Yeah. He had crabs on his face. God, that was bad.
That show, the movies took it well over.
The Beehive limo, if you don't recall, they locked a couple of guys in a limousine. The sun roof is open, and they drop a beehive
It was a bag of bees.
bag of bees.
So they were already pissed.
You're right into the limo, and all the doors are locked on the inside.
Yeah, they can't. It's like a
And-
police car.
And it's into this limo, and there's like 6 of them in there, and they are freaking out because these bees are very angry, and they're all getting stung, and they're locked in, and they're trying to kick the windows out, and then finally they let them out, and which was funny enough, but right outside the door, right before they open up the door, they put down like 1,000 marbles.
Oh, so
In front of the door, and so they get out of they're running out of this limo, and they're falling down on all these marbles. Which I gotta tell you, like that's just a little touch. That's the little touch. Like that's when you're like, okay, this is a master stroke of stupidity, and it's just so good. I really love it.
that one where Knoxville goes in and fights Butterbean in that department store.
Department store. That's good.
And my favorite is he's completely concussed. He
Oh,
said he
yeah.
barely remembers it, and he had the gash on the side of his head because he hit the side of the
Yeah.
display counter.
Yeah, yeah.
He just goes, "Is Butterbean okay?" And I'm like, "That's the funniest shit I've ever heard."
That is good. That is good. God. Is Mike Tyson going to fight again? Is that real?
I don't know. He's challenging dudes. He's all gray and weird. He shows up on AEW wrestling as like a guy. Like
I've not watched any AEW, and I feel bad because I loved Chris Jericho.
Jericho's
I
been
should.
owning that. But Chris Jericho is so good at reinventing himself at every
Right.
turn. Like he is probably in the top 5 all time.
Is he a heel on this, or is he a face?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, like
damn
he's like
Why
an
am I not
a-hole.
watching?
Yeah, he's like, and he came up with a little bit of the bubbly, and you could buy his like champagne beer. Like they brewed a champagne beer for him.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just called a little bit
Why
of
aren't
the bubbly.
why aren't we drinking that on this podcast?
I tried to order it a year and a half ago, and I chickened out because it was coming from Oregon. I think it was Oregon or Washington, and it's going to be like, here we go, we're coming full circle.
Yeah.
It was like $25 a bottle, and I was like, that ain't too bad. And then it was like another $30 shipping to get it here. And I was
no,
like, I'm
no,
up to $100. Like, get out of here. You know?
No.
That's bad math, but I'm close to $100.
But and meaning
Once
we
you're over
come full-
75, in my mind, you're at 100.
That's extreme rounding.
Yeah.
But okay.
We've reached 3 digits.
So coming full circle, insofar as that before we started recording, we were talking about shipping charges. I ordered a glass from breweries of PA, breweries in PA. I can't ever remember who these guys are. They're good on They're good on Twitter. Their Facebook page is a fucking mess.
I'm shocked anyone gets traction on Twitter anymore. That place has become maybe the worst. And that's coming from a guy who got back on Facebook.
You did get back on Facebook. You got back on Facebook in a
Hard.
big way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just,
you went all
just to
in.
troll and annoy people. Like,
It's been fantastic.
as long as you're enjoying it, that's
Yeah.
all I care about. I'm here to entertain.
You're doing it.
Oh, good.
The Twitter though is like my black tar heroin. I can't give it up. I love it.
I
love it.
read through it first thing in the morning. It'll be like 2,000 new tweets, and I'll hit the thing, and it goes up to the top. And I'll just be like, all right, who died overnight that I missed? Or, did we lose, whomever? And then I just notice so the Twitter app that I use has the ability to turn off people's retweets.
Yeah.
Like some people
That's
don't
smart.
tweet original thoughts, and that
Right.
annoys me. Like I don't care if I don't agree with your original thought. At least you're putting it out there. But when people just keep retweeting shit,
Right.
that's where I get annoyed. Like, have a thought. Don't let this guy have a thought for you. And that's
So
like
are you against all retweets?
no, because if you'll notice, I will retweet things, but I will retweet it with a comment.
Okay.
Always, like
Al-
because I figure you should at least have a comment about it or put your spin on it.
Okay.
But don't just retweet without comment because then it's like whatever.
See, I do retweet. I retweet. I try to retweet sparingly.
Trust me, I haven't turned yours off. I can turn them off individually.
Okay.
There are serial retweeters out there that's all they do all day, and it'll be 30 times, and you're like, F you.
I try to have a balance. So I think about half of my tweets are like my stuff. And then probably, more than that, probably like 70% of my stuff. And then the other 30% is probably equally broken down into retweet with comment and then just retweets. The retweet, if I retweet with comment, it's because I'm dunking on you. Like that's what I'm doing.
Well, I'll at least like retweet something that I find cool and be like, this is amazing, or this is perfect, or this is how you master the art of yacht rock, or something like that, or it annoys me that people will just hit the retweet button, and I'm like, do you think at all? Like, do you have a thought? Like, and Twitter used to be, when I was first on it in like 2008, it was mostly a way just to get in contact with people from Harrisburg, and we would have like meetups and stuff and everything. And now that it's big and athletes are on it, we would get to
tweet ups.
Yeah. And but now it's just a way for if OBJ's injured, some assholes bitching at him about his fucking fantasy team, and you're like, you are the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen in my life.
No, NBA Twitter.
Nice catch, asshole. Like, what?
Yeah,
he's in the NFL. Fuck you.
Actually, it's not asshole. They're dropping an N-word on him. It's because the Twitter is full of like the worst people.
Twitter's pretty bad, man.
Yeah. I lost my thought.
But even like when you tweet, "Hey, we recorded and we're dropping a show, or we're getting together tonight to do this," I'll retweet that with like the last time. Hey, I remember drinking beer. Like it's something silly. So at least I'm not just a robot going. Brr.
Now I'm not in NBA Twitter. NBA Twitter. This was the thought I lost. NBA Twitter is generally considered like best sports Twitter, which is very much an NBA Twitter like echo chambery thing to say, but that's what they really love each other.
And the NBA usually does a pretty good job of whatever. Like the Atlanta Hawks Twitter is pretty clever.
Yeah.
And I follow them, but I follow maybe 3 actual individual athletes, just because I find the people who follow these athletes are the most toxic people on the planet. Like, and somebody will come into a comment session on like during a game, and they'll be like, I tweeted at Trae Young, and he'll list his tweets to Trae Young about like whatever. And it's like 15 things. I'm like, why are you tweeting at this NBA All-Star God your thoughts on why he needs to leave Atlanta? Like what? Do you really think if you tweet at somebody 15 times, they're going to be like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm out of here. Like, and that's what I mean. Or the people who are like, I can't believe you got injured in the first half. My fantasy team, I'm going to lose the week because of you. Who gives a shit?
No, fantasy sports is the worst.
It is if you let it run your life. And what ended up happening was when it became like way over the top mainstream that everyone has a fantasy team. Here's my thing. If you are not winning $1,000 if you win your league, that's like the doorway to you can say something. But these people are mostly in free leagues, and I'm like,
that's pointless.
Go fuck yourself in your free fantasy league. You have no right to put anything on social media about how pissed you are about your fantasy team if you're not paying in or getting paid out.
And longtime listeners of this show will know that my position on fantasy football.
Your fantasy football stuff is goddamn hilarious.
What only exists for me to get kicked out of the family fantasy football
it's
league.
like your in-law uncle or something like
that.
You just
my
troll them.
Yeah, I just troll him until he kicks me out of the league. So, it solely exists for me to give him a hard time.
I'm going to grab another.
Are we doing another Black is Beautiful?
We got a third one.
We got a third one. Holy shit! Here we go. All right. I'm gonna play for time. Of course, I'm not even sure what we're gonna talk about.
Don't worry, I can cut it in post. All right. This is. I don't know why I'm talking without a microphone in front of me. I don't know why I didn't turn that off before I walked away. So this is Harris Family and Love City and Two Locals Brewing Company, which I do not know who that is, but I am familiar with Love City. So, oh shit, I forgot glasses.
Oh, well, here, I just use this one.
Go for it.
All right, So this is Love City, Harris Family, and Double Eagle Malt hooked them up. So, and this one's pouring. It looks a lot more viscous.
Yeah, that one
Looks more
a little
viscous.
thicker.
Which, I mean, does that mean anything? Although, in the glass, it's got a lot more. I mean, dark as hell again.
This one
Real
too
tan
just says
head.
Imperial Stout, but from what I overheard, I believe there might be some coconut in this.
Yeah. I'm picking it up here in the nose, I think. Nose is kind of muted though. Kind of biscuity, bready.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fighting through my allergies too here. It's starting to overcome my morning Zyrtec.
This one does have some coconut, but it's not like so. Coconut can kind of like skew towards.
I can already tell. So they changed the malt
Yeah,
from whatever the dark malt was to, I think he said a chocolate malt.
yeah. This is very chocolate.
So it has a lot more of that
Yeah.
cocoa-y.
Yeah, this is like baker's chocolate.
But I do feel like it tastes a little burnt coconutty.
Yeah, I was gonna say toasted, but I think with the chocolate malt, it does come off a little bit burnt. Yeah, like it's a little overdone.
It's not bad. I mean, it's good. It's just a very different. We've had 3 completely different flavors out of these 3 beers.
Yeah, and I will say I feel like we've gone downhill. Like the first was the best.
My problem is, for my palate anyway, that was a tough act to follow.
Oh, I agree.
Because
This
it was
one-
so well balanced and smooth, and had 3, additions that I really like.
This one's got all the body though.
Yeah, this one does. Yeah, there's no like going through that at all.
This one's viscous compared to the other two. Very light carbonation. Super dry in the finish, which I like. Definitely like dark baker's chocolate. The coconut is it's there in the nose, and then it comes in real late for me. Coconut has a tendency to get real suntan lotiony for me, and it doesn't.
That's funny. So the way he explained it yesterday, they were trying to avoid it coming out as like an Almond Joy Mounds, and I heard that and I go, oh my god, I'd die for that. I'm not a big huge coconut guy, but for some reason those candy bars I will just fall over myself for.
Oh, I love an Almond Joy.
And I was like, oh, you're speaking to me, buddy.
So, I mean, the Almond Joy beer is the last Buffalo in the Park.
Oh yeah.
You've had that.
We had it at Dave's.
Yes. I've had it twice. That's who is that? It's down in Florida, Tampa Bay.
It's not Cigar City.
No, it's Buddha.
Oh, Funky Buddha?
Funky Buddha.
There you go.
There it is. Now that beer
Pulled that
is,
out of my ass, bud.
that's a 5-capper anywhere. I love that beer.
Especially in your
That's
house.
straight Almond Joy.
That was really damn good.
Yeah, that's super good. This is chocolate malts and coconut, but not Almond Joy.
Yeah, it's more of they went for more of a toasty than a sweet.
Yeah, this is super toasty.
Which I can enjoy. It's good. It's real good, and
It is good.
I've never been to Love City. Philadelphia for a while there was it was in the 2000s where you go for craft beer, and then it just hit like this lull where, and I don't know if it was zoning or real estate or whatever, it just all kind of fell apart.
I think it's clientele.
Oh, you think? 'Cause, I mean, like Nottingham was there. See, but I also I have the mistake of counting the greater Philadelphia area. Like I would say, I go, oh, Victory, it's a Philly beer.
I agree. We're going to talk about city proper.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great beer city.
I mean, they have Monks.
Okay, so great beer is available in the city. Monks is one of the greatest places to have a beer on the planet. But when I go to Philadelphia, there's only one place I go. It's Monks. I don't feel the need to go anywhere else. It's not like I'm down there going, well, I could go to Monks, or I could try second floor again. I've been to second floor. It was fine. There's other decent beer bars. There's other really good beer bars, but none of them are Monks. And Monks, even though I have a lot of issues with the way their staff operate there, because I do not think that they're. I think that they're
I've been there exactly one time,
okay.
and I had a very. It wasn't great. And the reason was the logistics of how they run that place
It's very weird.
are stupid.
Yeah.
And God help them, I know that I'm speaking out of turn here because everyone loves Monks. We went.
Well,
It was a weekend
Okay.
where they were doing like a beer thing, and it was all these imperial stouts, and I'm like,
yeah.
yay! And it was 2 blocks from our Airbnb. There were like 10 of us, and we go in there, and they had the guy from the front bar running back to the back bar to get beers and coming back up, and he was moving about the speed of a season. And he was bartending instead of having a person run between the two bars.
yeah.
They were like it almost felt like a fuck you to tourists. Like if you're gonna come in here,
Well, that I don't disagree. The way the bar is run is very weird.
you know it's bad when I look at this and I go, you guys got logistic problems here. Like you just hire a busboy to come in and just run between the bars with a
if you're at the front bar and here's what I would say: if you're at the front bar and you order a beer from the back bar, you get what you deserve. Like you're gonna wait, and it's a pain in the ass. Order from the bar you're at.
which I went between both and tried to work that, and even at the back bar. And I know
Pay
I'm
cash.
short, but
Pay
it was just a pain in the ass.
Take cash and work across the two bars, or have a table. Which you're a bar guy. You sit at the bar.
I fucking hate it. If I'm there to drink, like that's why I try to like not have groups of more than 4. I'm like, if I get suckered into sitting at a table, this is just putting the fucking brakes on my drinking here. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that makes me sound like an alcoholic, but at the same time, like I'm not going to Monks for the frites.
Well, I believe that a bar is for 2. I don't even believe a bar is for 3. In a crowded bar, you cannot have 3. In an open, afternoon drinking experience, 3 works just fine.
This was, I think, noon, 11 or noon. We got there, and it was already stupid.
That place, you hit it on a certain day, it's jammed.
Yeah, but the other part too was that the bartender at the front bar, if he didn't recognize you, he was basically like,
Yeah,
take this glass and shove it
they
up.
do have
your dick hole.
they do have individuals that are there that are their regulars, and that's always kind of surprised me, like it how much of a neighborhood bar it actually is.
Mm-hmm. And I got that vibe right away, like, oh, we're outsiders, so they're like, screw these tourists or whatever.
I do think that though that they have one of the best curated beer lists on the planet. I mean, not just in America, not just in Pennsylvania, bar none anywhere.
It is
so
very good. I would put the Porter in Atlanta above it. But the Porter in Atlanta, I've never had a bad experience at. Like, they're like excited to see people from out of town. And
That's cool.
I always drop them from Pennsylvania.
Are they bigger? They've got to be bigger than Monks. Monks is kind of small.
I would say by square footage, yes, but like the bar area is very tight, but there's like 20 seats at the bar. So then you tightly go back into this kind of dining area with some booths in the back that you can't really see from the front. But we always tend to sit in the front, and it's always been good. And the bartenders have been, attentive, fast, and they know the list. They know what's on tap still, and they give you your tap list on parchment, and you're like, it's amazing. And they've got this huge whiskey selection. It's just more friendly. Like I went to Monks, and I was disappointed that it wasn't like this, fun time thing. And usually I can turn that around on bartenders and like win them over. And I had nothing for this guy.
No, they're very. It's a stodgy place, but they got a fantastic beer list.
And that's the thing. If I have an Airbnb 2 blocks away, I'm not going there.
Right,
like,
right. And a lot of people are like, well, you can get Russia over there, which is
they
used
do
to
the
be
Pliny
a lot more,
the Younger.
Yeah, it used to be a lot bigger deal to be get Pliny there. I went there, and every time I've gone, I've been lucky enough that they had Blind Pig on tap. So I show up, Blind Pig's my first beer. I don't even look at the rest of the list, and then I move into the Belgians, and it's a great place to go. But I don't know what it would take in the city to make me go, oh, I'll just go there. They had that I can't remember the name of it, and it's shameful I can't. They had that one brewery that didn't publish its hours. The only way you could know if it was open is if they had this green light open
That sounds
on
like the
street.
Lingostown Fire Hall does that. If
and-
their
and-
lights on, the bar's open.
Yeah, the light. They had a light on it. It was sold in a garage. It was all wild ales and spontaneously fermented bullshit.
Oh,
Like-
I think I remember this.
And everything sold in green bottles, trying to play off this very Belgian kind of feel. Which
You're not talking about what's his face from here that only sold his
no.
beers on- Okay.
No. This was that plus Little Philadelphia. Was Highway Manor.
Yes, yeah.
Hi-
He was
it-
like,
it- Highway-
Harrisburg's not ready for my beers. Oh,
Which I guess Harrisburg wasn't.
well,
I
nobody
don't know.
cares anymore. I
Fuck
hate
that
doing
guy.
that to a local dude.
Fuck
but
that guy.
Fuck that guy. Yeah. Kresge, GK Visual, their Brewed in PA series has
Yeah.
been really good, and they went to a couple bars down there that I was like, "Holy shit, I want to hang out at this place!" Like a couple very small, like you got to walk down an alley, walk
Yeah.
in through a garage. So there's a couple places down there I really want to check out. But yeah, there was some weird stuff. Eulogy used to be down there,
Eulogy.
and they closed.
I was there. That place.
I've been there once, and I
Yep.
was like, "This is fucking great. This is amazing." I've been to Eulogy before Monks, and I loved Eulogy, and then it was like rent's too damn high, and they had to close down. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that might be what hinders that Philadelphia crowd of brewers. Like eventually, like Notting Head, they're like, "Oh, we'll be back," and but they were center city,
Yeah.
and had to close, and they
Didn't
just-
work.
yeah. And that was almost like an old city house that was hollowed out into a restaurant. It was awesome.
Second floor. Is that still around? I don't even know.
Yes, that's right over by
I went there. It was fine.
Barcade and the New Yards.
I went there. It was fine. Would I go back? No. Why? I mean, that's the problem. And on the way out of town, you stop at Tired Hands. And I've complained about Tired Hands. The way their staff.
That's a
is
train
just-
stop at least. Like you can, yeah.
Their
Ardmore.
staff is just.
I think you're better off going to TJ's and Paoli and just getting
Yeah,
whatever you can
exactly
because
right.
that place is top notch. Is really good.
I need to make the TJ's train stop. I really do.
Let me know, man. Once we are,
Is Amtrak even running right now?
they sent me an email about a survey about our travel needs, so I assume they are. But
They're surveying people about their travel needs. Holy shit, that's weird.
yeah, I got an Amtrak survey because I'm on the app. Like I have
Yeah.
like, the points or whatever for the one train trip I take every year. But
Mm.
yeah, so they're still doing something. I assume they're running, but I would assume that they're cutting tickets off at 50%.
Jesus.
And I know that the train industry doesn't do well on its own anyway, so I can't imagine that this is helping matters.
Well, hey, I think we need to recognize something. We're having more beer content than we did in the last show.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get off. Like you even tried to get me off into the NBA and MLB off the
Yeah.
bat, but yeah, we've almost legitimately stuck to all beer, and we even got out of Harrisburg with it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. What's our timeline now?
We're at an hour and a half. We're at 90 minutes. We're not even scratching the
We're not
surface
even
yet.
at 2 hours yet.
Yeah,
Jeez. What
we
else is
got
there
to
to talk
bang for the
about?
buck. I think so. I learned some fun trivia, and this will be pop culture, and I'm about to get
yeah.
yelled at.
Yeah,
so
I'm excited for this.
I learned this week. So the song "I Melt with You" by Modern English. You know
Yep.
how you cannot escape that song. It's like
Yep.
one of the biggest songs in history. It's one of
Yep.
the top 500 radio played songs ever. So that song came out, and it was legitimately the only reason anybody in America knew that song existed was because it was on the Valley Girl soundtrack. What would you guess
wait,
that?
Wait. The only reason that got on the radio was the Valley Girls soundtrack?
Yes.
Okay.
So now, hear me out on this. So there's a part in
Okay.
Valley Girl where Nicolas Cage, who back then was like a teen heartthrob
Yeah.
type of guy, and I don't know the chick's name, but she's the Valley Girl. So they're from two different sides of the tracks, and they're dating, and the whole montage is the entire 3.5 minutes of that song, played over the whole thing. And whoever made the movie was real hip to music and stuff. So, what would you say that song peaked at on the Billboard Top 100 in the United States?
Okay, that's a good question. What did it peak at? I think it's gonna be lower than the 500 times top 500 played songs of all time. You would think it would. I'm gonna go with. I want to say number 5, but I'm gonna go with number 12.
Never cracked the top 40.
Whoa!
It peaked at number 78 in the United States and did not chart in the UK. They were a niche band, and the only reason anybody here ever knew them was from the Valley Girl soundtrack. Now, here's why that song never charted.
Okay.
Warner Brothers, the Valley Girl soundtrack, which I would recommend anybody go check it out if you want to take an 80s wormhole. It's fantastic. It's all this weird 80s alternative music. It's crazy. It's nuts. Warner Brothers decided it was too expensive to put out a soundtrack. That Valley Girl soundtrack was not put out until the 1990s. And that's when that song took the fuck off. So those guys got fucked by Warner Brothers Records. That song would have been number one for like a month, probably,
Yeah.
at least. And
Yeah.
those guys would have been, they're still rich because everyone covers it. So that song never really took off till the 90s when it was in every commercial. So
Right.
anybody who tells you, oh, I remember the song from the 80s is fucking lying to you, because the song basically never existed in America except outside of K-Rock in Los Angeles, where it's somehow scratched in 78. So another funny fact about that is in the 90s, they released an album in 1990 with a redub of that song where they kind of redid it a little bit called I Melt With You 1990. And that topped at 76. So it beat the original
Beat the
song.
original song.
Yeah.
Wow.
So think about that every time you
How
hear that
did you
song.
end up down this rabbit hole?
I watch a guy called Todd in the Shadows, and he did the One Hit Wonderland. He does a series called One Hit Wonderland. He does Train Records, and he does deep dives into these albums by these people. And,
Yeah.
And I'm watching this. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. So anybody who's like, oh, yeah, I remember that song from the 80s. No, you don't.
No, you
you
don't.
never heard it. You never heard that on Wink 104 or whatever hell bullshit. That song did not exist outside of the Valley Girl soundtrack and commercials and covers.
Why did they release it they released it in 1990? Why did they release it then?
Because I think they probably just wanted to get their name out there again. So Modern English was like one of these weird they were like these post-punk modern bands that only like niche nerds would be into.
Yeah.
And they vowed never to make a pop song. And so the first album was all this kind of like experimental weird shit. But then their second album, they accidentally wrote a bunch of these pop songs. And then I heard their second and third songs. I'm like, they're not bad songs. They would have at least charted with those, but they had no momentum. They were done before they even started.
Right.
Gone. So everyone's like, oh, I remember this song. No, you don't. Not unless you saw the movie Valley Girl, which I don't think.
No, it
my
didn't.
parents had it on VHS, so I saw parts of it, but I don't remember that fucking song.
No, it's not a
Yeah.
movie. I mean, I'm aware of that movie, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane. So
That
they
is crazy.
basically just got screwed over by Warner Brothers going, we're not putting this album out. And then they put it out in the 90s. I mean, I'm sure they still make royalties off of it, and they're still making money.
Which really like shows you how different things are now. Because right now, the cost of entry to release something is basically zero. It's all bits.
You can SoundCloud it if you
Right.
want. You can YouTube it if
Right.
you want.
Whereas before, it's like, we got to print. And then
And MTV played the video too, which a little bit like it wasn't.
I
like
can't
main-
remember what the video was though.
It's so here's another funny thing about that. The song came out before the movie Valley Girl. The director just knew of the song and wanted to put it in there. So like the video is just them like on stage, kind of like a generic like
Yeah.
we're singing in front of a microphone. So there's no clips from the movie, even though that song basically only exists because of the movie soundtrack, just because it was out before that.
Wow, that is weird.
Yeah, 78. It topped at 78.
I thought 12.
You,
I
people,
thought
if
12.
you ask people now, they'd be like, "That song was a hit for 7 months of my childhood." You're like, "No,
Yeah,
you're
no.
remembering this wrong."
Wow. Yeah, it didn't happen. Wow. 80s were a weird time.
Well, that's when you had to depend on like radio stations to play your shit, and then the charts were like, how many times did you play this a day? And then that's how you, Now it's all downloads and sales. You know, that's what goes. That's how you end up with Tekashi 6ix9ine and what's her face #1 on the charts or whatever.
I'll tell you what. I use Apple Music. I go and I look at the.
We know, Bill.
Yes. Apple everything. You're. Do you pay for music?
From time to time, like I've been buying records. I bought Aesop. I buy
You
Aesop
don't
Rock's
sub-
records.
You don't subscribe.
I have Spotify, but I hate
Do you pay for it?
$10 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I hate their app. I hate that their app aggressively doesn't let you listen to songs you already heard. Like sometimes I'll be listening to a playlist and I'll want to go back to the song I
Right.
heard,
Right.
and it removes it from your playlist. Like you have to go back another screen.
Why?
Google Play Music will just let me scroll back and play it again. Spotify just aggressively is like, oh, we want you to listen to what we suggest. I just can't stand it. And Google's going to go the same way. They're ditching Google Play Music to go to YouTube Music, which God help me. But I have so many songs uploaded to Google Play Music that are my own. Like I just own so much music.
Yeah.
And I'm getting old enough to the point where I'm like, new music, go below me. Like
So if you go to the top 100 on Apple Music. It is some stuff that I just sit there
What's
and go,
number one?
So you want to do global top 100?
Sure.
Number one, Cardigan by Taylor Swift. I like that. I haven't listened to that song yet, but obviously Taylor Swift. She released
If you
a
just said
single,
anything by Taylor Swift, I'd have been like, that makes
but
sense.
but like 3 weeks ago, I looked at this and everything was Juice World.
Oh yeah, everyone loves Juice World.
I don't know who Juice World is.
I never knew what he was until he got like, I think he died in a hospital.
He died? He's
Yeah.
dead?
T, Juice World's dead, right? She can't hear me.
No.
Yeah, I think he was the one who went to the hospital and they failed to save his life or something, and everybody
But
comment bombed the hospital that he was at.
but like of the top 100, 30 of them were Juice World singles.
30
At least it was everything. It was everything at that point. And
are any Tekashi 6ix9ine or whatever. That guy's a maniac.
right now.
It was him and Nicki Minaj were at the top of the charts.
No. It's a lot of stuff I don't recognize. I mean, it's a lot of Taylor Swift right now because she just released that new album. Which my daughter, who was the target audience for Taylor Swift, for a long time. Her last two albums, my daughter's like, they're not good. Which, if you can't get like a basically almost tween to like Taylor Swift music, the new stuff, part of me is like, are you losing your core audience? Like, I thought that was her.
Her problem
bread
is
and
she's
butter.
always trying to like address the haters and the Twitter people. Ooh, look what you made me do! Like,
I don't think there's anyone on planet Earth who's more artificial than Taylor Swift.
It saddens me too because she's from Wyomissing, and I'm like
Yeah.
local. Like,
No, she's not. She's from New York. Yosabi, number 48. Yosabi.
No clue.
Yoasobi.
No clue.
Pop Smoke.
I-
No. Got a bunch of them.
Pop Smoke.
Pop Smoke. How about Little Dirk?
Never heard of him.
J. Cole.
Sounds familiar, but I'm mixing it up with J. Crew.
Megan Thee Stallion.
No, this is made up.
No, it's not. No. Stay Solid Rocky, all one word.
Nope.
No. Future.
Oh, I know who Future is. Yes.
I do not.
Yes.
I do not. There's some more Pop Smoke. Ito?
Nope.
EITO?
No. Judge Lance Ito?
The Dancing Itos?
Yeah. there's a reference only a few people get.
Megan Thee Stallion's got a bunch of like spots on here, by the way.
I don't know how that works. Man.
Polo G.
Polo G. No, I got nothing.
Polo. and then
Polo or Poyo.
Polo.
Polo.
Capital G.
I know Cool G Rap and DJ Polo.
Blackpink. All one word. All caps.
No.
No. Louis Capaldi.
Oh, yeah, I know who that is. Yeah. It's not good.
Nizzy U. Nizi capital U, all one word. No. Topic and A7S.
I know who
Ace.
Topic is, but
No.
I mean, if he came in here, I probably wouldn't recognize him.
NLE all caps Choppa.
No.
NLE all caps Choppa. No. Jeez. I mean, Roddy Rich, and Rich is spelled RICCH. You really can't make this shit up. Mustard
Ricci
and
should sue him.
wait, but Mustard and Roddy Rich combined to do an album, a song called Ballin'. No.
No.
How about Gunna?
No.
G-U-N-N-A?
And what's funny is I'll watch like these videos at the end of the year, like the worst pop songs.
Yeah.
And half these people will be on there.
Sweetie, or is it Sweet Tie? No, sorry. Saw Sweetie? Saw Sweetie? It's SAWEETIE.
Sweetie.
Sweetie? No? The Kid Lori?
No.
The Kid, and then it's all caps. A.
This
So
literally has to be
L-A
people who just don't give a shit
R
and let their kids order
I.
whatever they want on iTunes.
It must be. Gunna rounds out the last of the
Because
top
I
100.
guarantee you, if you look at another chart, it's probably like the biggest albums. It's got to be a little bit different.
I mean, of course, this is the world top 100.
Oh,
but
that's true.
you
If
get
you
a lot
do
of
US,
weird
it's going to narrow that down.
Rod Wave.
Eh.
No. Huh. Well, there you go. Jack Harlow. Don't know. But really, all the weird names are done. So, I look at that and I felt old for a long time, but I look at that stuff and I'm like, man, I'm really old.
It gets weird, and then like every once in a while, I'll hear something that I do like, and I'm like, "What's this?" I'm like, "I've never heard of this." But it's odd for me, and it's an old guy thing though. You don't want to break into stuff that you're not familiar with or comfortable with, and that's coming from a guy who, as a teenager, went completely out of line and was like old school rap. Like, it wasn't old school rap then, but it's like, hey, I'm gonna listen to Big Daddy Kane, Public Enemy, NWA, all this stuff, and I was completely out of line for a kid from where I was from. But even that, now people are like, oh, this is old, it stinks, and I'm like, this was an art,
Right.
like De La Soul was an art, like, Beastie
De La
Boys
Soul.
were an art back in the day. Yeah, and you're just like the artist, and now it's just like you just you can use a drum machine or like a synthesizer thing, because you don't want to pay for rights to any samples unless you're Jay-Z, and you can do that, and then the whole song's a sample. But these guys just make this weird beat and rap over it. Hey, do yourself a favor, listen to some Tekashi X9 and read about this guy. You're gonna hate his guts. He's an asshole. He's a true asshole, and he knows it. He's like a fake street guy, and
All right.
he's terrible.
Man, I don't know. Looking at what is good labeled as good or important music today in pop, like, makes me feel. But nothing will make me feel older than listening to my 10-year-old daughter when I say, "Oh, that's cool," or look at me and go, "That's not cool." I'll be like,
Red flag.
Oh,
Uncool dad.
yeah. Like, I felt like I got murdered.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
The other day, I had a weird, I don't know if it was an old guy moment, but we had, and I love this song. I'm not even ashamed to admit that they're Spice Girls songs that I like. Say You'll Be There.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's their best song. Like, the video was fantastic. I was in college. M2 was new, and I was like, these girls are hot. Like, I love it. But my problem with that song has always been in the middle. They let Sporty Spice, Mel C, do like a solo, and I'm like, you should never let her solo. And so that song's on the other day, and I go walking through the kitchen, and I just stop and I go, why would they let Mel C solo? They should have given that to Baby or Mel B. And the other half just looked at me like, what, are you fucking kidding me? I was critiquing the Spice Girls on their choice.
Look, you're allowed to have an opinion on that. You are.
I'm like, there's better singers in that group.
Yeah. Britney will always hold an important spot in my heart. Britney Spears. Big fan. But you know what? Like, she's so auto-tuned, and she was auto-tuned before they got good at it.
I don't think
just
I don't think it matters.
The peanut gallery,
but she made the she had a life vest on where she went through the I'm weird and drugged out and crazy.
Yeah.
Came out the other end with a Vegas show and is now walking on sunshine.
I think she's gotten weird again.
She's doing Instagram cooking stuff.
Yeah, it's gotten really strange.
But no, I can deal with that. I appreciate Britney for what she is like, and it didn't completely destroy her.
Big fan.
Yeah, no, I love her. You know, it also always gets me every time if we're talking about likely bad acts. Every time Backstreet's Back comes on, I'm going nuts for that fucking song. I thought those guys were amazing when that song came out. Catchy as hell. And they're all dressed up like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and the Wolf.
That's a great song.
I'm like, it's great.
My kids love that song too.
Yeah. And it was a boy band that wasn't afraid to be ugly in a video. Like, and I go, oh, this is brilliant.
Be ugly in a video?
I mean, it's makeup, but still.
They're not being ugly in the video. Come on.
I mean, it wasn't like the whited out,
the Blink 182, All the Small Things video that spoofs the boy band videos.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That's perfection.
I've never been a Blink fan, but I can appreciate a good music video.
Here's the weird thing though. That song is now being used by BMW to hawk BMWs in 2020, and I'm kind of like, you don't ever hear the lyrics, but it's just the guitar riff,
right?
And I'm kind of like, wow, Blink 182 is now selling Beamers to me. Very weird.
It's very weird when you hear songs in a commercial and you don't know the band or whatever, and then you hear the song by the band and you're like, oh, it's that
Yeah.
Honda commercial or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Commercials can really screw you over.
Yeah.
Apple started that when they were doing like the 1, 2, 3, 4, and it was always like some kitschy song.
Yeah.
And then it would take off, but then the opposite can happen where you're like,
But they were finding
where you
stuff
think
that
it's
you
just a
hadn't heard
commercial
before.
song. Sure, but like it's always weird. Like you'll watch like a Toyota Tacoma commercial and
Yeah.
you'll be like, okay, that was a song. And then all of a sudden you see a band open for another band and you're like, they're playing the Toyota song. Like, and you're like, where did this come from? So, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what you're forever associated.
Yeah. You know, my wife, she loves going to concerts. We're not going to get another concert until like 2022 at this point. I do not like going to concerts, but it's becoming pretty clear that we're not going to have a big crowd.
I've aged out of big concerts to the point where I still say now I'd rather go to a comedy show than a rock concert, just because they're too big. And I'm a Foo Fighters fan. They're too big.
You wouldn't go to Foo Fighters? If Foo
I've been to
Fighters came
seven Foo Fighters.
if they came to Hershey, you wouldn't go?
Not anymore. No, they're too big. The crowds are too big. The last one we went to,
Hershey's a small venue, like comparatively.
I'm still smashed into the field, and I'm like,
That's correct.
I've seen them open for the Chili Peppers back when they were new, and it was me and 150 kids because no Chili Peppers fans were there because they were opening, and I was dying. Like, and then there's guys behind me yelling, "Oh, you're nothing without Kurt Cobain!" And I'm like, "Fuck you idiots!" But then I saw them at the Color and the Shape, and then I saw them at One by One, and it just gets bigger and bigger. And the last time I saw them was we went down to whatever they call the place in Philly now, and we were down on the floor against a railing between two stages, and I'm looking back, and I'm like, if I got to piss, I'm not getting any. I'm just going to piss right here, and I'm just like, this is too much for me anymore.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we had a ball, and
Yeah.
it was like her first like real rock concert, but. It's just one of those things where I just am like, I'd rather go and be seated at a comedy show and
be comfortable.
Yeah, and even if it costs me $100, I don't care.
I'm not that into the crowds as well. I've aged out of it. I don't like it. My wife loves going to concerts. I'm like, have fun, go with your girlfriends.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just can't do it anymore. I don't enjoy it, and more importantly, it's just a lot of bands don't live up to they don't live up to their work. You see them and you're like, these guys sound like shit.
I've been fortunate enough to have the opposite thing happen. There's very few concerts. Oh, I did see Semi Charmed Life.
Third Eye Blind.
Third Eye Blind.
They're good. I've seen them 3 times.
You know, it's funny. I saw them when the lead singer was dating Vanessa Carlton, and they came here to Hershey Park.
Ooh, nice.
I got free tickets, and
That's
were at the beer
Megan's
tent, and I
favorite
was like,
band, by the way.
Well, sorry, Megan. Their show that time was balls terrible. The guy can barely sing.
In E-Town?
It was Hershey.
Hershey. Oh, okay. Because I saw
It
them
was,
in E-Town.
it was Goo Goo Dolls, Third Eye Blind, and Vanessa Carlton. It was Vanessa Carlton open, and it was Third Eye Blind,
I
and
did
the Goo
not
Goo
see
Dolls.
that
My
concert.
favorite thing about the Goo Goo Dolls is nobody realizes that Johnny Resnick sings like 10% of their songs, but those are the ones that got at the videos because he's a pretty boy.
Yeah.
And the big neck guy is the one
Yeah.
who does most of the heavy work. And people are like, what the fuck is this? Because they don't know. Because they've only seen the videos. And I was like, you didn't know that,
Yeah.
did you? One of the best weird shows I saw on a whim, me and my old roommate, my buddy from college, Rob, went to Hershey, and it was one of the outdoor Towards the Highway shows. Stone Temple Pilots, when Weiland was fresh out of rehab.
Nice.
And number 4
Oh,
just come out.
wasn't he always fresh out of rehab?
One of the times.
Okay.
But this was, I saw them on MTV when they were like first around, and
Yeah.
I was like, that show kind of sucked. That number 4 show blew my freaking face off. It was
Nice.
amazing. Yeah, so I mean, you just find, and I think it only cost us $35 to go to that show.
This is the part of the show where listener Mick is expecting me to talk about going to see Weezer before Weezer before
Blue Album.
But yeah, right when the Blue Album dropped. But I'm not going to tell that story now. Mostly because he's expecting me to tell that story, so I'm not going to do it.
I think the Blue Album's good. I'm not a huge Weezer fan.
I
They have some
love
songs
Weezer.
that I like. I
Love
don't know.
Weezer.
Like I like that they're like rock, but they're pop. And as a Foo Fighters fan, I understand the
Yeah.
3 chords and a breakdown and
Yep.
3 verses or whatever. So
Do you? It's when it comes to the Foo Fighters, and you mentioned like you're nothing without
By the way, for anybody listening who doesn't know, my real name's not Ed Grohl. I used to have long hair, and people started calling me Dave Grohl because I kind of look like him, and so that's where that came from.
But if you're Dave Grohl, like it's gotta be. It had to have been tough to like. Okay, now what do I do?
Well, he was recording songs on his own. Like Marigold was a song that he recorded and was on the B side of a Nirvana. So he was always kind of doing his own stuff.
Yeah.
And he just went into the studio and did these rough cut songs. And he put out a tape that if I ever have money, I'm going to try and get my hands on called Late Pocket Watch. And it was like all these gruff songs that he just went and whipped up real quick. And they're all real simple. But you can hear the Foo Fighters in that. Like you can hear Dave's rock with pop sensibilities in that.
Yeah.
And then when Foo Fighters came out, the first album, people were like, what the hell is this? And he did it with no fanfare. He just kind of came out.
Yeah.
People were like, what the fuck is this? And my brother gave me the tape after I heard This Is a Call. He goes, dude, bro, it's Dave Grohl, bro. You got to listen. He's like the drummer for Nirvana. And I was like, oh, okay. And I heard that first album, and it was a cassette.
Yeah.
It broke in my car. Like, I played it that much. And then I was hooked. And then you learn more about Dave and, like, how fun he is. And he's just the nicest guy in the world, and he just rocks. And it's one of the last rock bands on earth, pure rock and roll. And you're just like, I got sucked into that, and I'm like, fuck yeah. But that music, I like that music that's like, verse and, light chorus, that kind of thing, without too much, it doesn't, not everything has to be a 10-minute complicated, Pink Floyd song,
Right.
So I kind of like that.
I like the Foo Fighters. The one thing that always comes to mind every single time you or anyone else mentions Foo Fighters is the first time they were on the David Letterman show.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember how he introduced them? It's the Foo Fighters who fight Foo for you.
Yeah. They spend all their time fighting Foo.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Like Dave.
Yeah. It was a very David Letterman way of like introducing
But then
them.
they're his favorite band. He comes back from his heart attack. He's
Yeah.
like, I demand. They left their South American tour and came back and played Dave Letterman for his
Really?
post heart
I did not
attack
know
show.
that.
Yes,
I didn't know they left the tour. I
Yeah.
remember they came on that show. Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, if Dave Letterman calls you, like, I will be right there.
Yeah, man. When Regis he just recently died.
Yeah, the
Someone
man who's
posted-
logged the most hours on television ever.
Yeah,
Not any of those 2020 guys. Not Dan Rather. Like,
Not
I was
60
like,
Minutes.
that is crazy.
yeah, it is crazy. I mean, Walter Cronkite came into your house for a half hour every day, and he got nothing on Regis filming.
Yeah.
Regis was a regular on the David Letterman show, and someone posted when he died, one of his appearances, Dave had 4 guests, and he's listing the guests. It was when he was still on NBC, so he was following Carson.
He was the Late Show with David Letterman. The
Right.
Late Show.
and he's like, oh, we're listening to 4 guests. He goes to the producer, four. Do we have enough? We have enough show for 4 guests? Oh yeah. We got enough space. We can make it work. We can make it work. I don't think I can. And they follow him back to the green room, and they're like, Regis, come on, you got to go. And he kicks him out. He bumps Regis, and he throws him off the show. and Regis is flipping out, and Dave's like, nah, look, take it like a man. And he sends him to the elevator, and he throws him off the show, and that was it. And it was one of the greatest bits. It was so good. And it was very much a David Letterman bit.
Yeah, Dave, his wacky sense of humor has always been great, and people don't even realize he started on morning shows. Like he was like a morning guy, but he's just so off the rails funny, and I always loved his demeanor. Like he just always had that stupidly laugh at your own thing just because it's absurd and
stupid human tricks. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great. I remember one of his bits on when he was on morning show. He had the whole audience go outside to watch daytime fireworks, and they're shooting fireworks off into the most brightly lit sunny day, and all you hear is, and they popping, and people are going. He's making the crowd go ooh, and you can't see shit.
From the home office in Sioux City, Iowa. This is top 10 things written into the Declaration of Independence.
How did I would have loved to have been there for him pitching. Look, I need $4,000 to light off some fireworks in the daytime.
Sure.
Dave, you know this is a morning show, right?
Exactly.
You get it. You get it.
I think Conan's
What?
the same way. He's an acquired taste, but his delivery and demeanor just kills me, and he's willing to take things like, hey, we're doing Triumph the Insult Comic Dog because, this guy's a genius, and this is hilarious. And
Right.
that is a almost 30-year-old bit that just will not die.
So good.
It's the best.
We talked about Trump the last episode.
We did. Sorry, we're duplicating.
That's all right.
We don't pre-write anything.
No, I don't. But Triumph is super good. I miss the old year 2000 bit. Does he still do those?
They were doing it after the year 2000,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
thought was brilliant.
Yeah, it was super
Just
good.
keep that going.
Yeah.
But I think when they left NBC, they just shit canned some of their bits.
1, 2, buckle my shoe will soon in the year 2000 will be replaced with 1, 2, damn it, I'm pregnant.
One of my favorite things they did on Conan was one of those "The More You Know" things because they were on
Yeah.
NBC,
Yeah.
and they just had Max Weinberg go, "Condoms break, deal with it, Missy." Dun, 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 dun. Like, just-
Wow. Yeah, they used to throw those in just like just at random. Super good. But yet here we are in late night, and I've tried to tune in a couple times to these remote shows. They don't work without the current crop of late night.
I think Conan's
Hosts
done
are
an okay job. Now I subscribe to him on YouTube, so they cut down
Yeah.
like he'll have Nikki Glazer on and cut her down, and it's
Wow.
just those two
You'll
talking.
do anything for Nikki Glazer,
She's one of the funniest human beings ever, and she's
and
she's
you're into
hot.
it.
Yeah,
You're into it.
she's
Yeah.
but yeah, like Nikki Glazer, or even he'll have whomever on, and I just get into it.
yeah.
And in 5-minute doses, I can listen to a guy tell a story. I don't need the crowd, but I can see why without a monologue. But they do cut to a lot of bits that his producers do and
Yep.
send together. They're doing a thing now where the fans can make a show, and they're all sending their clips of bits that they're doing for the show, which I think
Okay.
is kind of neat.
I've not seen that.
So he's always been very good at engaging. I don't know if Fallon's been doing a lot of that or anything. I don't
Fallon and Colbert are just unwatchable.
Fallon depends too much on wacky game night shit, which sometimes is gold
Yeah.
and other times can fall pretty flat. That's a hit or miss thing. Kimmel, I never really watched Kimmel. There's something about the ABC network that I just, outside of I just have never been into it.
Yeah.
Nothing they've shown has ever been I need to tune into ABC.
Kimmel just stands up there and preaches. I've had it with him.
We are right at 2 hours, buddy.
All right, let's wrap this up.
You want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
All right, we'll save our sports talk for the next one.
Well,
When we know that baseball's actually canceled.
yeah, baseball will be over by then. We're not gonna have any sports. Sports are going down the tubes. It's over. So pack it in.
Yeah, NFL's got to be sitting there going, MLB, fucking don't say this shit.
1/5 of all MLB games this weekend are canceled, and that's before we have a hurricane coming up the East Coast.
And let me tell you, though, the EPL pulled everything off with aplomb.
Yeah,
there
soccer made it work.
Yeah, and I think it was you who told me Americans always do the right thing after they've already done everything else.
After they tried everything else.
It's clearly everything's just gonna suck for a while.
Yep. All right. Anything else for go to the order?
I am good to go. I appreciate you coming over here and hanging out today. Hopefully we can have a post-game beer here, and hopefully we can do more of these live ones. It probably is going to sound a lot better, and this is going to be fun.
This was fun.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to hit stop.
All right.